the 16th day of May 2023. Hello and welcome to the News International Edition. We're coming to you live from our Vision Group headquarters here in Kampala, Uganda. I'm Emma Akwero. We start off today from Sudan, where 1 month after the conflict erupted, its capital is a desolate war zone where terrorized families huddle at home as gun battles rage. While the Western Darfur region has descended into deadly chaos, residents of Khartoum have endured weeks of desperate food shortages, power blackouts, communication outages, and runaway inflation.
The capital of 5 million, long a place of relative stability, has become a shell of its former self. Charred aircraft lie on the airport tarmac, foreign embassies are shattered, and hospitals, banks, shops, and wheat silos have been ransacked by looters. Violence also renewed in El Geneina, the capital of West Darfur State, leaving hundreds killed and the health system in total collapse, medics said. A Khartoum resident who preferred his name withheld narrates the ordeal. We've been living the same scenario, the same reality for the past month. One day there are negotiations, the next day people are dying, aircrafts are striking, and fighters are everywhere. Therefore, we, the Sudanese people, do not see any way out except through only one solution. The solution is that the negotiating countries must help to disarm every person carrying a weapon in the state of Khartoum. This must be applied, or else this war will continue till the last breath of every fighter in Khartoum. Fighting continued on Monday with loud explosions heard across Khartoum and thick smoke in the sky while warplanes drew anti-aircraft fire, according to witnesses. The resident adds that a country with two armies can never succeed and that negotiators should help eliminate one for stability to return. We, as a people, do not accept to have two armies in Sudan under any circumstances. There can only be one army. Whether it be Hemeti's forces or Sudan's original army, we will honor any of them. But holding negotiations to have two armies, that's something that we don't accept at all because we've had enough and we've endured enough through this war. The amount of corruption and destruction nowadays is unprecedented. Another witness reported clashes with various types of weapons in Omdurman, the capital's twin city. Battles erupted on April 15th between Army Chief Abdel Fattah al-Burhan and his former deputy Mohammed Hamdan Daglo, who leads the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces RSF. What remains of the government has retreated to Port Sudan, about 850 kilometers away, the hub for mass evacuations. The United Nations says more than 700,000 people have been eternally displaced by the fighting and nearly 200,000 have fled Sudan for neighboring countries. There are fears for the stability of the wider region.
Now we are following the violence closely in Sudan and we'll be bringing to you any latest developments coming in. Let's head over now to Rohingya in Myanmar, where they have buried their loved ones as the death toll from Cyclone Mocha rose to at least 41 among the persecuted Muslim minority, with more than 100 still missing, according to local leaders. Mocha was the most powerful cyclone to hit the area in over a decade, churning up villages, uprooting trees, and even knocking out communications across much of Rakhine State.
The death toll in cyclone-hit Myanmar's Rakhine State rose to 41 on Tuesday, local leaders told our reporters, as villages tried to piece together ruined homes and waited for aid and support. Packing winds of up to 195 kilometers per hour, Mocha made landfall on Sunday, downing power pylons and smashing wooden fishing boats to splinters. The locals are burying the bodies of the dead amidst marginalization. I found the bodies of my son's wife and daughter here, and I found the dead bodies of my brother and my sons near the village. One was found on the road, another one was found inside the village. 9 out of my 14 family members were killed. Only 5 survived. They were killed because they couldn't resist it when the strong wind swathed them away on their way. At least 41 people died in the villages of Buma and nearby Kaung Dokkar, inhabited by the persecuted Rohingya Muslim minority, local leaders told reporters at the scene. Any help from the government hasn't come. No one even comes and asks about us. We just have to suffer ourselves for what has happened to us. Other residents walked the seashore searching for family members swept away by a storm surge that accompanied the cyclone, the correspondent said. Mocha was the most powerful cyclone to hit the area in over a decade, churning up villages, uprooting trees and knocking out communications across much of Rakhine State. Myanmar's junta said on Monday that 5 people were killed without specifying where. It was not clear whether that toll included any of those killed in Buma and Khao Dokar. Widely viewed as interlopers in Myanmar, the Rohingya are denied citizenship and healthcare and require permission to travel outside of their villages in western Rakhine State. Many others live in camps after being displaced by decades of ethnic conflict in the state. The United Nations Refugee Office said it was investigating reports that Rohingya living in displacement camps had been killed in the storm.
Now, the war in Ukraine has changed the lives of millions of people in Ukraine, but the most impacted are women who have lost their loved ones. Several women lost their husbands on Ukraine's brutal front lines, where the men were defending the country from Russian assault. Today, they carry on their husband's legacy while adapting to new life. We have more.
Yevgenia Kolesnichenko and Svitlana Pova's lives changed after their husbands were killed at war, motivating them to join the war effort and Ukraine's defense forces. Kolesnichenko is now a medic and Pova an artillerist. My husband was at war and I was with my children. When he died, I realized that someone needed to take up their cause. Those who are not fighting now should also little by little prepare for war. Sooner or later, most of us will be involved in the war. And since my husband did not get help after being injured, then someone will now get this help from me. I convinced him to let me join the army in my head. There are times when I feel that someone is watching over me. I reassure myself that he is with me, he helps me. Svitlana Pova, widow of Ukrainian fighter Semyen Pova and artillerist, adds that it's hard discussing the war with her son, who is curious anyway. My son is already quite grown up. He already knows how to act, what works. I hope that he will not need to make any emergency decisions, but he is already quite independent. We try to avoid these conversations. When he starts, maybe I'm wrong, I cut off the conversations and tell him that everything will be fine, and that's it. It can't be any other way. Meanwhile, images show a Ukrainian air defense system working during a strike on Kyiv overnight. Ukraine said Tuesday that it had downed an entire barrage of Russian drones and missiles, including 6 hypersonic missiles, just hours ahead of a visit by a Chinese special envoy. Posting on Twitter, Defense Minister Oleksiy Reznikov said another unbelievable success for the Ukrainian Air Forces. Last night, our sky defenders shot down 6 Russian hypersonic Kizil missiles and 12 other missiles. The statement comes just over a week after Ukraine said it had downed its first Kizil hypersonic missile.
Now, away from Ukraine, news coming in from the continent is that protests and clashes between police and Sonko supporters broke out in the Senegalese town of Zinkocha the day before 48-year-old Ousmane Sonko is scheduled to appear in court. The opposition politician is facing trial for the alleged rape of an employee at a beauty salon where he had gone for a massage. One police officer has died in the protest crashed by an armored vehicle, according to police.
Clashes between police and supporters of opposition politician Ousmane Sonko on Monday left one police officer dead in southern Senegal, police said. David Diatta, mayor of Kafountine, says protesters are around to defend Senegalese democracy.
Aujourd'hui, pour défendre la démocratie sénégalaise.
We are here today to defend the Senegalese democracy, to show the world that Ousmane Sonko cannot be Macky Sall's sacrificial lamb to satisfy his personal clip to interests or financial interests. Enough is enough. and enough. Protests broke out in the town of Ziguincha the day before the scheduled court appearance for 48-year-old Sonko, who is facing trial for the alleged rape of an employee at a beauty salon where he went for a massage. Sonko, who was also recently sentenced to a 6-month suspension prison sentence for defamation and insults against the tourism minister, has denied the charges. If he thinks he can liquidate Sonko, let him understand that he will have to walk over thousands and thousands of corpses. He says he is the victim of a government plot to scupper his eligibility to run for president in the 2024 presidential election. Crowds of mostly young people have blocked roads with logs and burning tires, throwing stones at police who responded with tear gas, according to our correspondent. Local media reported that several protesters had been injured. Sonko, who was third in the presidential election of 2019, is supposed to appear before a criminal court in Dhaka on Tuesday for the opening of the rape trial. However, he says he will not respond to court summons without his safety being guaranteed. Two of his lawyers told our correspondent they have not received any summons for a trial. Last week, Sonko called for his supporters to take to the streets in protest after he was handed the suspended sentence. Senegal is traditionally a beacon of stability in the troubled West Africa, but in recent years has been buffered by turbulence that has at times turned deadly. When Sonko was arrested in 2021, several days of protests left at least 12 people dead.
Now the News International edition will go for a short break, but please stay with us.